Oh my goodness, it's the daytime. I just got in from, we're doing the Seoul Outdoor Library, or we're like doing stuff for it. I just got home from that and decided that I need to do a little mini haul for you guys because I work for a book company. So it's actually very surprising that I don't do this every single day, but I have to control myself. But I picked up a few little guys, and I want to tell you all about them. I want to start off by asking a question really quickly. How, why, and when did I pick up 2 books that are bright orange? Caught my eye. The orange, I guess. What can I say? Love orange. I don't actually like orange that much, but anyhow, to be fair, both the covers are very, well, one's nice. To be fair, one's pretty, one's just whatever, but it's just funny that I took home 2 separate, completely different books that are both orange. Anyhow, all right, first up, How to Stand Up to a Dictator by Maria Ressa. So this is actually my next book club book, and I went ahead and picked it up. But this is what our members voted on, so this is what we're reading for this month. But yeah, it's a memoir, journalistic kind of expose thing written by Maria. But she is a Filipino-American journalist, and it kind of just talks about like her experience as CNN's chief, I think, in Manila and Jakarta, and kind of her firsthand experience dealing with a very authoritarian government system. Yeah, and it's, from what I saw online, it's a sort of like call to action in regards to like our freedom and freedom of speech and freedom of, oppression that comes with those things. But it definitely focuses a lot on media and the sort of digital wars that are going on, things like that. Yeah, I'm hoping to get out of it sort of, how do we, in the age of media, how do we not let ourselves be completely brainwashed by it and completely controlled by it? And how, I'm very curious, and I'm hoping she'll talk about it, but how do we allow governments to sort of brainwash us with the media we consume? But yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. I'm very excited about this one. The last book we read was Freedom is a Constant Struggle, and that's definitely more written in more of a academic sort of, it's like speeches and essays. So this one is definitely seems to be more memoir-y-ish. So I'm curious the difference we're going to have in discussions about this versus the more academic book that we had read before. I'm very excited. So that was my first one. Up next is a book that has been making its rounds. Okay, if you're on social media, you see this book literally everywhere, and I mean rightfully so. It was longlisted for the Women's Prize in Fiction. Is that what that word's called? Women's Prize Fiction. I think that's what it's called. But it was longlisted this last year. So if you're on any like BookTube or Book Talk, I feel like this, at least you've seen the cover, okay? And it's Heart the Lover by Lily King. Funny thing about this, I have obviously, like every other person, seen this cover everywhere, and it's beautiful, so it's definitely an eye catcher. But I didn't even know what this book was about. I didn't have a clue until I brought it home. I'm a sucker. So this is really one of those judged by a cover, because we'll see. Actually, I had no idea. Genuinely not a clue until I read the back and I realized what it's about. But yeah, so Heart the Lover is more contemporary fiction, and I'm very excited. So Heart the Lover follows the story of a young female writer, and it focuses on, sorry, I already kind of started it, but it focuses on her time through college, and she finds herself like entangled in this sort of love triangle, maybe I don't know, Okay, we'll see what happens. I have no idea. All I know is there's 3 people involved in this. And it focuses more on like connection and intimacy and relationships, and kind of I'm assuming sort of the feelings of like first love and the different, because I read the back and it talks about that, you know, she is a successful writer decades later living with her husband and children, but a surprise visit brings the past crashing into the present. So, you know, I think it focuses on how our past and our past selves still are connected to the people we become later on, right? I think sometimes you think that the person you were in college, would people change, but the person you were in college will never see the person you are today. And so I'm imagining that this is going to kind of question that and focus on that. So I'm very excited. Yeah, and the sort of push and pull, right, between desire and our expectations and who we are meant to be, but who we want to be. That's the vibe I'm getting. Okay. I'm very excited. I have already kind of started it, like 3-4 pages in, but I think this is going to be really good. I hope. I haven't seen anything bad about it, so I'm assuming that it's going to be pretty decent. I'm excited. But yeah, these are my 2 little pickups, my 2 orange books. If you've read them, if you like them, if you dislike them, please let me know. I'm sure I'll talk about them next. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about, I just posted another video recently and I talked about Flesh and Sisters in Yellow. And someone commented and on my comments, and I was talking about Flesh and I was talking about Istvan and like how I didn't understand him as a character and I really struggled to connect with him, and I didn't feel he was a bad person, and I felt, you know, he definitely had a lot of trauma and a lot of craziness in his life, so I get, you know, understood that, but there was just something missing for me with him. And this someone commented and said basically like girl, he's Slavic, like girl, he's that generation and that era of men is exactly the way that he was represented in the book. And honestly, when they told me that, it really clicked for me, and I realized that, one, I need to work harder on making sure that I read with intention and am more aware, I guess self-aware, in the sense of like what I'm reading about, who I'm reading about. You need to know a little bit of backstory sometimes, right? Like there's a reason that authors put in certain time frames and certain generations and from certain places, whatever. And I do need to be more aware of those things and a bit more careful, not careful, but you know, but yeah, I really appreciated that comment because it really put into perspective to me of like, yeah, maybe of course this came across differently to me because I have a different perspective, right? And then I got into this other thought of how interesting that is and like the perspective when we're reading and how every book and every story kind of comes across to people differently because of our own perspectives. And, you know, that's a whole other thing, but that was kind of that. And then I also thought about, you know, I read Korean translated works and I find myself a bit more able to connect with those and understand those because I get the nuances and I get so yeah. So I mean, still, obviously it's good to read things that are not necessarily from your own perspective because that's how you get a better perspective of the world, but it's full circle. And I just thought that was really cool. I really was grateful that person commented, and you know, that's the whole point of reading, isn't it? To get new perspectives and to get better understandings of things. So from now on, I am going to try harder to make sure that I am intentional with that. But yeah, I think that's all I have for this video. And I appreciate everybody that's watching and I appreciate everyone that's commenting. And I really, 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 this is such a cool thing to do and to talk and discuss with other people about books. And it's really a dream and I love it. Anyway, everybody, go out, read a book, and talk to someone about it. Because that's all you can do. That's the best thing, right? That's all we have. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.